Okay, I got a confession to make, and I'm going to be completely honest. I love toxic women. I do. Just that's a confession. Like there's nothing else. I try to stay away from them, run from them, hide from them, but that's the pull. That's the gravitational pull right there. And I think we all do. We all love a little bit of toxic. And I'll define it so you understand. I don't want to get stabbed or nothing like that. I'm talking about most interesting women, at least to me, are toxic. That's what's interesting about them. When you go to the zoo, you want to see those animals that could kill you. And sure, the birds are nice, but there's something about a lion, about a snake, scorpions, something about just having that danger close, right? But not biting you. You don't want, okay, let me rephrase it. I love toxic women, but I don't want to get bitten by poisonous, toxic women, right? We could, this is what it is. No long term, right? Because I think in the past, I confused kind of loving a toxic woman with like the one, right? This is the one. It's not the one. The toxic one is not the one. They're the fun ones, but they're not the one. Yet peace is boring sometimes. And I speak for me. And I don't mean boring in a bad way. It's very predictable, right? Like when you have peace, it's okay, I have peace. But that's not really interesting. And men and women, we all have a toxic scale. Men are toxic too, obviously. I could be definitely very toxic. Only I'm toxic when I care, right? Like I'm not toxic with everybody, right? But when there's that woman that I don't know, gets to me, I'm toxic. But it's slowly transitioning into toxic. You never show your toxicity at first, right? You go into, baby steps. And I always compare the toxic scale to spicy food. And not everybody likes spicy food, but we also don't like bland food, right? We have a range, and some people like really, really spicy food. Some people like really more towards the bland side, but not completely bland. But you also don't want, car battery spicy food, right? So you want somewhere in between, and we all have different tastes. And we know our tolerance, but not because we know, but because we tried it. You can only know how spicy something is based on other spicy experiences. You need to have tasted enough spicy food to know that that's not for you or that's what you like. And same thing with women. There are women that are more spicy than others, if you want to call it that, instead of toxic. Then you got to know your spice level. Right? Not everybody's going to be able to handle that, you know, Habanero or that Texas Reaper or whatever. Not everybody's going to be able to do that. And then not everybody just plain pepper, right? That's a spice, but maybe some people like that, but we want somewhere in the middle. And spicy makes the food interesting. It does distract from the actual food flavor, right? Because now if you're really, really focused on the spice, then it will shadow a lot of the other flavors. But there's always this perfect point where it's spicy enough, but flavorful enough that it just meets and it's just, wonderful. I guess that's what I like. However, sometimes you put a little bit of extra hot sauce as you like that extra spiciness in a woman, but not in a long term relationship. Not in a long term relationship. It's just, for me again, so men have been in a spicy, toxic relationship for years and they're fine. I need a balance that tilts spicy. So loving toxic women, I like some of those traits as a temporary thing. I want to eat spicy food maybe once a day or something like that. I don't want every single meal that my coffee spicy. I don't want everything spicy. I want a variety of spice or flavors. And if you start looking at women in that scale of spice, it's going to be easy for you to know what you like. But I tend to say that we are all towards more flavor than not. And not in the long term again. Some of us make that mistake. I included confusing toxic spice for a permanent flavor. And that's just not going to work. What do I mean by toxic women? Toxic women to me are those women that are not afraid. They're not afraid. We call it toxic because they don't know what we tell them to do, or they're conflicting all the time. Or they always have an opinion. Sounds pretty normal things, but when you add them up, it could be toxic. Toxic women are also the type of women that don't believe you. They just don't. Some women just have a natural trait to be toxic. Other women grow into that from a lot of pain in their lives and being lied to, deceit, backstabbed, and trauma, suffering made them toxic. Once they're toxic, you need to understand the level of toxic, because I've been in bad situations that only happened because I ignored that spice level and I thought I could handle it, and then ended up not handling the spice, or at least not enjoying the spice, because that happens, right? You eat food that's a little too spicy, you don't even enjoy it. It's just too much. Another trait of toxic women are women that are they call themselves alpha females, or very outgoing, tend to, those women that the world revolves around them. It's all about them, about their feelings and about their goals, their dreams, their aspirations. It's about what they want to do, what they want to accomplish, how they don't want to be held back. Those are toxic women. And I'm not saying that women shouldn't be that way, but in a relationship, that's not going to work. You need some kind of compromise. You need some back and forth. You need some middle ground. And when a woman is so extreme about her, she needs to be on her own. Do you do 100% you, but you can't do 100% you while being with me. I'm already giving up some of my percentage to be with you, and I'm expected to now give up my percentage and take a full blown of your percentage. Now we're going 50-50, 60-40, 30-70. We're doing a split. We're not going to do 100. That's another type of toxic women. But there's another type that is very dangerous, and that's the narcissistic toxic women. And what's the difference between center of attention wanting toxic women and a narcissistic one? The difference is that the narcissistic one doesn't have an off switch. They don't even know that they're toxic. They tend to not act toxic because, see, check it out. Toxic, you know what I'm talking about. Those attention wanting women, they just want attention 24 hours a day. They have an off switch. And if you learn their ways, you can turn it off. And that's great. That's the only way to survive that. But narcissistic women, they don't have an off switch because they truly are convinced they are God's given gift to the planet, to the world. They really believe this. With all their heart and might, they feel entitled to praise, and the attention that you should give her is not just attention. You need to sacrifice all you've got to make her feel special. And when you don't do this, they become victims. They become your victims. Even though you're the victim, now somehow they're your victim. Figure that out. That's a danger. So how do you spot these extra toxic, spicy women? Narcissistic flavor. And it's quite simple. If all she cares about, all she talks about, all she does, if her day revolves around her, there's a big possibility she might be leaning narcissistic, because also narcissistic is not a yes, she is, or no, she's not. There's a scale there as well. And there's a narcissistic scale that goes all the way to extreme, where she will stab you if you try to break up with her, all the way to as simple as just microaggressions and just slowly just take your confidence away with the things she say and how she behaves. So there's that. Be careful with those peppers. Those peppers are hot and the burn could be permanent. Speak from experience. And there's the fun toxic, right? Like, I remember hearing this story about Lisa Left Eye Lopez from TLC, and how, and I'm laughing as if it's funny, but she burned Andrew Rison, who was a NFL player. She burned his house down, a beautiful house. She burned it down. Now, I don't think anybody even asked why. It was in the news. She burned it down, got arrested for it. And that's that level of toxic, right? Now, what's more toxic? That or the fact that Andrew Rison went and bailed her out? Allegedly, that's his story. I don't know if he did or not. I believe it. I might have done the same thing. I'm not even going to lie. When a woman burns your house down, she's telling you she loves you in the worst way possible. I mean, that's like a cry for help. Dash, I love you so much. But you got to be careful if you don't got the money, right? Because there's a woman that will key your car, stab your tires, break your windows, burn your clothes. They'll do all of that. You got to see what level of spicy you like. And if you can't handle that, yeah, you see it coming, so you just get away from that. I don't want that either. But I can understand him bailing her out if he did. There's a lot more to the story than just she burned the house and he bailed her out. We don't know. But whatever it is, that's a bond. I'm sorry. Like, sometimes negative just leads to a bond. And it's bad. There's a bad place when you're bonding over toxic, negative crap, right? Like, your love is shown by how much harm you cause to that person. And I had a friend like that. Like I said, I'm toxic. I'm going to admit that. But I consider myself an intellectual toxic. I will show my toxic side in intellectual ways. Like, or at least I try to. I'm also emotional, like any human, but I try to be really smart about things. I'm more Machiavellical toxic, and I'm very patient toxic. So a lot of times my toxic side won't come out months, years later. I don't forget. I hold grudges, and then the right time always comes, and revenge is best served cold. Let's be on the point. Let's go back to loving these women. And also, you got to be careful with, there's men that's gotten killed, stabbed, all sorts of not good things, because the level of toxic was way beyond what they even deserved. And when you love toxic women, and we all do, let's just be honest, we love different levels. Not everybody's going to like getting their house burned down. But also, not everybody's going to want just complete peace and quiet forever. Like, it's a balance, right? So you figure out what your spice level is. But having said that, like, when we love these toxic women, you got to understand that some of them are not for the long term. And that's a mistake. That's where we go wrong, is thinking that some of these women that are on the toxic side are forever. And that's when you go into years of hardship. Some of my friends that are women, some of my women friends, some of my best women friends are the most toxic women on the planet. I mean, these women are conniving, they're mean, they're ruthless, heartless even. And they're my friends because I like them. I like those women, right? Those same women have thriving businesses and, they're really outgoing, accomplished women. And I have to say, a lot of that success comes from how toxic they are. And at some point, maybe they became friends because maybe I'd even considered some of them as a possibility of a relationship or something like that. And I, by the grace of the universe, God, whatever you would call it, I was saved because now I look back, I was like, oh, nah, man. But the attraction was there and it's probably still there, but they're toxic, right? And that's why they're able to accomplish certain things because they're fearless. And when you have a fearless woman and you have a go-getter and like, they like this call themselves alpha females. I don't know if that's the right term, but those really outgoing, I'm gonna make this happen women, like they're very oriented on their goals and they're all about that. And there's an attraction to that I have because a lot of times they're very talented, they're very motivated, and that's inspiring to me. And I like that. I'm attracted to that. But I also know we just gonna have just straight up conflict because at some point we're gonna have to decide certain things that are not going to be a compromise. It's either her way or my way. And I don't know, you gotta be ready. You gotta be the type of man that's ready to compromise. And when I say I'm toxic, it's not that I'm toxic in a, you know, belligerent way. It's like I'm very. It's difficult for me to compromise my beliefs, my goals, and all of that. I used to. I did that for years. That's the reason it's very difficult for me to do so now. I'm not going to sacrifice my beliefs, my goals, what drives me to appease someone else or for someone else to be happy or to sacrifice what I need to do in order to help them now achieve what they want. So at some point, it's going to be a division. And if we can't agree, there's going to be conflict. And if they're as toxic as I know they are, that conflict won't be good because they'll make your life miserable. Real toxic women, and let's put a number, right? Like from 1 to 10, 10 being the toxic, just extreme, 1 being bland, 5 being the middle. If she's above a 5, you're not breaking up in a friendly way. You're not. She's not. She won't do that. That's her toxic side. Like she will not be your friend. She will not. She can't. She can't. A lot of the toxic women have really big egos and breakups are major failures for them sometimes in their perspective. So yeah, you're not her friend. You're her permanent enemy. And that's a whole other story. But when you go into a long term with one of these women, just know that the only way out is the bad way out. There is no understanding about anything. But take that way out. So this is better than not being out. All of this rant came about because I was talking to a friend and just normal things. And she was like, telling her some of the things that have happened in my life. And then she's like, well, seems like you're the toxic one. You're the one that all of these patterns. And she was right. I started thinking of it. Like, yeah, you're right. So why do I have these patterns of toxic people in my life? And that's when I realized that that's because that's what I like. I like toxic women that block me and unblock me and block me again and curse me out and then tell me they love me. And then I like the chaos. That's not a good thing. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm not saying that's something that I should work on, staying away from that. But I'm saying I had to come to terms that that's a reality, that a lot of the women that I've kept in my life at some point or another have have shown me very toxic traits that I've fallen in love with. Some of them really, really bad, and I think the only person that has really gotten to know these people before me has been my mother. My mom got her own traits. I'm not going to elaborate. My mom, obviously, who doesn't love my mom? I love my mom. That's my queen, my heart. She's a tough cookie. Very, very tough cookie. So I can see how I like those tough cookies, right? Like, in a way, the women in my life that I really, really liked have been mirrors of my mom, like one way or another. It was funny if I would tell this to those women, they'll like go crazy. Like, no, it's the truth because my mom could spot them a million miles away. And I see it now. And there's nothing good or bad. It's just life experience. I like toxic women because that's how I grew up. My grandma was toxic. My grandma was toxic. And not in a bad way. Not to me, because I'm the grandkid, like not like that. But looking back, she was tough and she was a very strong woman, like very strong and opinionated. And it was her way or no way. And my mom's not far from that. And actually all of my aunts and family are not far from that. Me being attracted to those women in my personal life, now that I understand this, it's not a crazy thing. It's like, yeah, like I can maneuver these waters because I grew up in these waters, right? I grew up with the yelling and the chaos. So in a weird way, it would make me feel comfortable to be around women like that. Just, loud in opinions and just outgoing women. Like just problematic, like it doesn't matter what it was. I could say anything. It's kind of cold. It's not cold. Like they just want to fight. Like every single, like, good morning. I ain't nothing good. And some man probably will not stand that. Find it comforting. I'm changing that. I'm definitely changing that because I have also pushed very, very positive, peaceful, great women away. And I've ruined a lot of those. I've had some really great relationships that now that I look back, I'm like, wow, that was so normal. That was so great, normal. It was predictably great, but in my level of maturity at the time, it wasn't enough. It wasn't fulfilling because I needed someone calling me every 3 seconds, asking me where I'm at. That's what I gravitate to, right? I gravitate to send me your location kind of thing. Who's this? Who's that? Why are you looking over there? That was comfort. Now I'm understanding that's toxic. And now I'm understanding I need to stop liking that. I don't even know how to get started doing that. But the first step is admitting the issue. The issue is I gravitate towards toxic women. As a lot of you, if not all of you, do. And admitting is the first step, is saying, okay, well, the past women in my life have been this and this way. The woman that I say I want is peaceful. Yet once I'm there in the peace, I don't really want that peace. So I miss the chaos. And you know what's crazy? That when you're in the middle of the chaos and you actually are comfortable in that space, you don't miss the peace because you don't even know what that is. But when you have peace, you miss the chaos because that's all you know. Observations that I've made to myself throughout the years and why even my behavior is shaped. Just looking for that perfection and it doesn't exist. There is not that perfect, peaceful, toxic woman that can give you both peace and spice at the same time. It doesn't exist. You're going to have a little bit more of one side or the other. That's my self reflection on seduction because we got to be careful with the women that we seduce. There might be spicier than we are able to handle. And you need to know and understand your level of spice. What can you tolerate? What you're not willing to tolerate. And if you don't know that going in, you'll know it going out. If someone should listen to this, either because they're in a toxic place, we all got friends that we know. We see their relationship is like, he in that toxic spice, he in that habanero chili, Texas Reaper relationship. So if they need to watch this, well, don't even say anything, just share this. They know what you're talking about. And if you haven't done so, then make sure you subscribe. You can find all the episodes on Seduction Ed, Seduction ED, seductioneducation.com. And yeah, I'm not hard to find, and I pretty much answer any comment that comes in any of my content. I don't care if it takes me a long time. Like sometimes I'm answering comments from long, long ago. But I enjoy doing it, especially if you disagree with me. I love having a debate. So, till next time.